And your other pilot was the Rita Moreno show.
That's the one that Fred Silverman also cut dead. And, you know, thinking back now, it's entirely possible that because this character was so big, you know, she was like this all the time, he may have thought, and rightly, if indeed that was what his thinking was, that you couldn't really stand her every single week for an entire season. She might have been better for, in those times when they were still doing specials, maybe 3 specials a year, something like that. Because she's much bigger than life, and I don't know that, where would it go? Where would a series like that go? But he just didn't want it. And I don't think he wanted me.
Disappointing?
Yeah, it was. It was because she was kind of my creation, though Terrence McNally put her into writing. He saw me do that character at a party years ago when I was doing a play with Jimmy Coco on Broadway called The Last of the Red Hot Lovers. And Jimmy used to just die laughing at this because I invented her. She came out of me one day. I coughed, I burped, and out came this crazy Puerto Rican. And we were at Jimmy's house one time. Jimmy said, for Terrence, because they were very good friends, for Terrence McNally, do your Puerto Rican lady. And I did Everything's Coming Up Roses. I had a dream about Joe, baby. It's gonna come true. And then I did the Player King speech from Hamlet as this character, who at the time didn't have a name. F big the F bitch I pray Joe, as I pronounce it to you, tripping lian de tong. I mean, here's this nutty Puerto Rican lunatic doing the Player King speech about how to speak and how to act. Do not so Joan's dos. You know, that kind of. It's hilarious. She makes me laugh. I still do her with friends, and I still say, I'm by myself sometimes, and I think of something the way she would say something, and I laugh. All by myself in the kitchen. I laugh. Oh, say, can you see by the donzelle line? She makes me laugh. She made Terrence McNally laugh, and that's why he wrote that.
And you got the Tony.
And I got the Tony. And, you know, it's such credit to him that he knew what to do with her. The moment he saw me do that, in James Coco's living room, a year later, he wrote a play called, at the time originally it was called The Tubbs, later on The Ritz, and he wrote her just as I did her. So he knew where she was coming from, as they say.
The Emmy came from Rockford Files, one of your Emmys from Rockford Files.
Yeah.
And that character was?
Her name was Rita Kiepkovich. She talked like that, which is wonderful because it took me away from all that Latino stuff for a change. And she was so sweet. She was really sweet Charity. And it got me my second Emmy was for that. And I was so thrilled. And actually, out of doing only 3 Rockford Files, I was nominated twice and won once. And I did his very last Rockford Files last year. He wanted Rita to come back for the last show. So we did one. And it was so nice.
What was fun about doing Rockford Files?
Oh, Jim. What else? We've known each other. I've known Jim for he knows the exact date, but you see, he's good with numbers, I'm not. Something like 45 years. Jim did his very first screen test at 20th Century Fox when I was a contract player there with me. They were still doing things like screen testing good-looking kids, you know, to put them under contract and groom them. He was one of these good-looking kids, and he was a hunk. He was really he was not a very good actor. And we did a scene from The Bridges of Toko-Ri, a film that had starred William Holden and Grace Kelly. And I played Grace Kelly with the blonde wig and all that. Very white makeup. And he didn't get signed to Fox. But I guess they showed him because he went to do Maverick after that and became a very, very big star. I loved doing work with him. He's everything you see is pretty much what he is. He's a splendid human being. I love him very much. And we've known each other forever.
When you would do series TVs and guest on other shows, which is something we'll be talking about, would you find that the tone of the set would be taken from the person who was the lead actor?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The hardest part, and I'm very, very aware of that when I do Oz and whenever I've done a show, more than one show, the guest stars are always such strangers. Everyone is so tight. And too often the guest stars are ignored, which is terrible. It's just awful. Because they're really not stars very often. They're called guest stars, but they're not stars. They're featured players who get that billing for that particular show. And there's something horribly sad about these people coming on a set where, it's like suddenly joining somebody else's family. And you don't know their jokes. You don't know what's funny to them. You don't know what's meaningful to them. You have nothing in common whatever with these other people. And it's very hard on them. Their first few scenes very often are extremely difficult for them because they feel so self-conscious and uncomfortable. And as a result of that, I've always made it a point to introduce myself immediately and try to have lunch with that person on that first day so that they'll feel, and I will sometimes invite some of the other actors or actresses to join us so that this actor or actress won't feel so estranged. It's an awful feeling. You can't imagine.
It's funny. I've never really heard anyone talk about that before, and that's like one of the
backbones. Well, you know why? Because
TV.
Most actors don't even think. Actors are very self-centered people, in a way, and they forget. They forget very quickly how hard it is to be in a strange set with people you don't know, who couldn't care less about you. I was doing a show. It was a pilot. It was a terrible pilot, where they brought in two girls to play bimbos. So needless to say, the girls, that's why the show was terrible, by the way. It had that kind of, it was the Married with people who were offshoots who were doing this pilot. And needless to say, the girls were built, like that, extremely voluptuous and maybe even enhanced, shall we say. And they weren't great brain trusts either. But that's neither here nor there. That's no reason to treat people badly. And not one person on the set, not one person in the crew knew those girls' names. They called them by their character names, the characters they were playing. Hey, Bunny, go over here, stand over here, and now bend over. They did a lot of that. And I felt so awful for them. I'm a very maternal person anyway, and I love young people. And I just couldn't stand the way they were being treated. So I said, would you like to join me for lunch? And they said, lunch? With you? And I said, yeah. Would you want to have lunch with me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And we went to lunch, and I must tell you, it was a difficult lunch because they didn't have much to say. They were really very limited young women, but they were so sad for that very reason. My heart just went out to them. They were being hauled around on the set like objects. It's a tough business. It's a mean business. And not one of the actors on that pilot ever said hello or good morning to them. It's astonishing. It's not even so much rude as thoughtless. Actors are so often so taken with themselves and their worries and their scene that they don't even think of anybody else. And I'm so unlike that. But I've been through that. I've been those girls. As a Puerto Rican, I've been those girls who couldn't do arithmetic on a blackboard,
And looking for ways to hide the insecurities.
Yeah, exactly.